Good afternoon, dear children. Welcome to the rapid revision live session of brilliant group of institutions which help you to do a quick revision session of the preparations towards the upcoming science board exam. I'm sure that all of you are in the final lap and doing a quick revision at your home. So today we will be doing a walkthrough through the most important concepts that you need to refresh and recollect from what you have learned in the past 1 year. So without wasting much time, we will directly go to the questions. I hope I'm audible to everyone. If you can hear me clearly, please leave a comment in the comment box. Okay, so let's go to the question number 1. Study the diagram given alongside and identify the gas formed in the reaction. So here you can see that there is a reaction mixture given, and in this mixture we have some zinc granules added to dilute sulfuric acid. This is one of the most important reactions in chemistry. We know that whenever we take a metal and add it to an acid, we will get salt and hydrogen. This is a single displacement reaction, and as you can see here, in this case we are adding zinc to sulfuric acid. So what will be the products formed? It will be zinc sulfate and hydrogen gas. So the gas liberated in this case is hydrogen. So if you look into the options, which will be the correct answer? Yes, Anish, very good. The gas produced here is hydrogen, which while burning produces a popping sound. You know that pop test is the confirmatory test for hydrogen gas. Right, so I believe this point is clear to everyone. Please remember this: metal plus acid is going to give you salt plus hydrogen. Now, question number 2. The graph given below depicts a neutralization reaction. Acid plus alkali gives salt plus water. The pH of a solution changes as we add excess of acid to an alkali. Which letter denotes the area of the graph where both acid and salt are present? This is a very important question, and you can see here, in this case we are mixing acid and alkali. So all of you know that any acid, say for example HCl, mixed with a base or an alkali like NaOH, it will result in the formation of salt and water. And you know that if this is a strong acid and if this is a strong base, the effect of the acid will be nullified by the base or vice versa. And this reaction is called as neutralization. So we are starting with an alkali because they clearly said we add excess of acid to an alkali. So you know that in the pH scale, alkalis will have a pH more than 7. So the graph starts from here. We have 14 here. That means at this case you have only alkali present. Now when we add acid, what will happen? The acid is going to start neutralizing the base or the alkali present. Slowly the pH starts coming down, and you can see that at the point 7 is the neutral pH, right? So at this neutral pH you will have salt completely formed. That means the acid and the base has been neutralized each other, and even after that if you keep on adding excess acid, what will happen? That acid will remain in the solution. So which part of the graph represent both acid and salt is the question. Yes, very good, majority of you have given the right answer. It will be the portion D, because that is where the pH is less than 7, which means excess acid is present in that mixture. So the correct answer of this question will be D. I hope this concept is very clear to everyone. Now, the next question. In the reaction of iron with copper sulfate solution, CuSO4 plus Fe gives Cu plus FeSO4. Which option in the given table correctly represents the substance oxidized and the reducing agent? Here I want to brief a very important concept that you have learned in chemical reactions and equations, which is redox reactions. And in redox reaction, definitely one question is going to come for the board examination. They will either ask which substance is undergoing reduction, or which substance is undergoing oxidation, or which substance is the reducing agent, or which substance is the oxidizing agent. So quickly we will have a recap of the concept that we learned. Let me take an example here. Let's take zinc oxide plus carbon, giving zinc plus carbon monoxide. This is a redox reaction. First of all, why is this a redox reaction? Here you can see that zinc oxide is becoming zinc. In this process, what is happening to zinc oxide? Zinc oxide is losing oxygen. And if you remember the basic definitions of redox reactions or reduction and oxidation, you all remember that reduction can be defined as any process which involves addition of hydrogen or removal of oxygen. This process is called as reduction. This is the classical definition that we are following. And any process where there is addition of oxygen or removal of hydrogen, then that is called as oxidation. See, this is the conventional or the classical definition that we follow. I'll tell you one more definition which you can remember, which is in terms of electrons. If any process happens where there is addition of electrons, then that process is called as reduction. And if any process happens where there is losing of electrons by any substance or a species, then it is called as oxidation. I would ask you to remember the last definition as well. So how do we apply these definitions in these questions? See, in the case of zinc oxide, zinc oxide is losing oxygen. So as I said, removal of oxygen is called reduction. So this process where zinc oxide getting converted into zinc is reduction. Now look at what happens to carbon. What is happening to carbon? Carbon is gaining oxygen. So it becomes carbon monoxide or CO. So in this process, what is happening to carbon? Carbon is gaining oxygen. So addition of oxygen is called as oxidation. Now up to this, everybody is very clear. What is reduction? What is oxidation? Now, immediately remember this. The reason why we say zinc oxide has undergone reduction is because it lost oxygen. But who took its oxygen? Carbon took its oxygen. So in another manner, can't we say that carbon is responsible for reduction of zinc oxide? Yes. So since carbon is responsible for reduction of zinc oxide, we can say that carbon is the reducing agent. Carbon is the reducing agent because it is the one who took oxygen away from zinc oxide. So always remember, the substance that undergoes oxidation is the reducing agent. Similarly, you can think in another manner. Look at this. Carbon has undergone oxidation to become carbon monoxide. So why do we say that carbon has undergone oxidation? Because it gained oxygen. Where did it get that oxygen from? It got the oxygen from zinc oxide. So in another way, you can say that zinc oxide is responsible for carbon's oxidation. Yes. So any substance who is responsible for oxidation of other substances is called as oxidizing agent. So here we can write one more conclusion. What is that? Zinc oxide is the oxidizing agent. Sometimes you can call this as oxidant as well, and reducing agent as reductant. So 4 important points must be clear from this question. What is reduction? What is oxidation? Who is oxidizing agent? Who is reducing agent? So I hope it is very clear to everyone. Right. Now coming to the equation given in this question. Look at this equation. In this case, CuSO4 plus Fe gives Cu plus FeSO4. We can view this reaction in a different perspective. CuSO4 plus Fe gives Cu plus FeSO4. In this case, you know that in copper sulfate, copper is in +2 state. The charge of copper is Cu2 plus. In case of iron, which is in the elemental state, it has no charge, it is 0, right? Then in the elemental state of copper, it has no charge, it is 0. In the case of FeSO4, iron is in +2 state. Now look at this change. Now look at this change. In this case, if you check copper sulfate, in that, what is happening to copper? Copper is changing from +2 to 0. A positively charged species is becoming 0. How can that happen? Only when electrons are added? Yes or no? Only when electrons are added. So we can say that Cu2 plus has gained 2 electrons to become Cu. And what did I tell you about addition of electrons definition? Addition of electrons is called as reduction. So we can say that here who is undergoing reduction? Copper sulfate is undergoing reduction. Now look at iron. What is the case of iron? In case of iron, iron is moving from 0 to +2. When will something become positive in charge? When it loses electron. Right? When it loses electron. So Fe is becoming Fe2 plus. So it is losing electron. What is losing electrons called? It is called oxidation. Now once you figure out this, it is very easy to figure out what is the reducing agent and what is the oxidizing agent. Look at this. I told you the substance that undergo reduction is called as the oxidizing agent. So I can easily write copper sulfate is the oxidizing agent, and the substance that undergoes oxidation is called as the reducing agent. So now you got the answer. They asked, what is the substance that has undergone oxidation and who is the reducing agent? You know the substance that undergoes oxidation is the reducing agent itself, correct? So who is the substance that undergone oxidation here? It is iron. Is that clear to everyone? Is it clear to everyone? Yes. So here the right option will be the substance oxidized is iron and the reducing agent is also iron. Okay, let's move on to the next concept. Which of the following are properties of acids? Read the statements. They are bitter in taste. Is that statement correct? You know that acids are sour substances. They are sour in taste. Bases are the one which are bitter in taste. So we can say that this statement, the first statement, is not correct about acid. Now they react with metals to produce hydrogen gas. That is true. We have seen it in the first experiment or the first question. Metal react with acids to form salt and hydrogen. They are easily soluble in water. That is also true. Acids, when they dissolve in water, they will form hydronium ions. You have studied that. The definition of acid is based on that. Acids are substances which release H+ ions in water. Yes or no? So that statement is also correct. So which will be the right statements about the acids? It is only Q and R. Is that clear to everyone? Right. A student adds an equal amount of copper sulfate solution in 2 beakers. He adds zinc in beaker P and silver in beaker Q. The student observes that the color of the solution in beaker P changes while no change is observed in the beaker Q. Which option arranges the metals in increasing order of reactivity? You know, one of the most important section in chemistry is related to the reactivity series, because that reactivity series is the arrangement of the elements based on their abilities to displace each other, isn't it? So in the reactivity series, some elements are on the top, some elements are at the bottom. So based on that, we can predict whether a single displacement reaction is feasible or not. Right? So in this question, what is happening? Here it is clearly saying a student adds equal amount of copper sulfate into 2 beakers. So let's say this is beaker 1 and beaker 2, and in both the beakers, what do we have? Copper sulfate solution is there. He adds zinc in beaker P. So let's say this is beaker P and he adds zinc, and then in beaker Q he adds silver. the student observes that the color of the solution in beaker P changes, which means there is a chemical reaction happening there. Yes or no? There is a chemical reaction happening there. So what would have happened here? Zinc when added to copper sulfate becomes zinc sulfate plus copper. You guys know that zinc is more reactive than copper, and it is very evident from this observation, because it is showing a displacement here. Whereas in this beaker there is no reaction. What does that mean? It means silver is not able to displace copper. If silver was more reactive than copper, obviously there will be a change in this beaker as well. So what is the advantage of doing these kind of experiments, or what inference do you get from these experiments? We can predict the reactivities of each element here. So tell me, in this case, in this question, who is the most reactive element? Definitely it will be zinc, then it will be copper, then it will be silver. So here, in this question they asked which option arranges the metals in the increasing order. That means the lowest least reactive to most reactive. So here the correct option will be option C, silver, copper and zinc. Is that question clear to everyone? Right. Look at the next question. A very, very important question from Carbon and its compounds chapter. CH3CH2OH treated with alkaline KMNO4 and heated, you get CH3COOH. Can somebody tell me what is the IUPAC name of CH3CH2OH? Come on, quick. CH3CH2OH. CH3CH2OH. Yes, very good. Amrita, very good. Ethanol. Ethanol is the IUPAC name of CH3CH2OH. And what is CH3COOH? Quick. What is CH3COOH? Yes, CH3COOH is ethanoic acid. And look at this reaction. What is happening here? We are adding alkaline KMNO4. Students, please remember, alkaline KMNO4, alkaline potassium permanganate, that is KMNO4, and acidified potassium dichromate. These are very well known oxidizing agents that we use in many of the organic reactions. They are very strong oxidizing agents. So they can be used for converting alcohol into carboxylic acid. So the example given in your textbook is ethanol to ethanoic acid. So in the exam, if they ask what will happen if you treat propanol with alkaline KMNO4, do not think that it's an out of syllabus question. Propanol is an alcohol, so you will get the corresponding acid from that. Which is the corresponding acid of propanol? Propanoic acid. Propanoic acid. So this is a very important reaction. This is an oxidation reaction in fact, right? It is an oxidation reaction because alcohol is getting oxidized into carboxylic acid. Is that clear to everyone? Right. So the role of KMNO4 here is, it is acting as an oxidizing agent. And let me tell you one more thing. Suppose if they ask you, distinguish between ethanol and ethanoic acid. Distinguish between ethanol and ethanoic acid. You can write this as an answer. You know why? Alkaline KMNO4 is colored. It has a violet coloration. It has a dark purple coloration. So when this compound is added to ethanol, I told you there is a reaction happening, there is an oxidation happening. So alkaline KMNO4 is consumed, KMNO4 is consumed. So what will happen? Originally when you pour this KMNO4 into the tube containing ethanol, the purple color will start disappearing. So decolorization of KMNO4 is an indication that ethanol is present in the test tube. But if you add it to ethanoic acid, will anything happen? No, no reaction, because ethanoic acid is already oxidized. So there will be no reaction. So whatever KMNO4 you added, it will stay as it is. That means the color of KMNO4 will be retained. So this is one of the tests to distinguish between alcohol and carboxylic acid. Is that clear to everyone? Is that clear to everyone? Right. Now, that is not the only test, okay? Sometimes you can answer it in a very different way. Another test can be used. Can somebody tell me how do you distinguish between ethanol and ethanoic acid by another test? Anyone? Which reagent we can use? Which reagent we can use? We can use NaHCO3 or Na2CO3. Sodium bicarbonate can be used. You know why? Because ethanoic acid is an acid, and when you add acid into metal bicarbonate, what will happen? Salt plus water plus carbon dioxide is produced. This carbon dioxide will be coming out through the solution, and it will produce a brisk effervescence. So if a brisk effervescence is noticed in the solution, then that means you have added sodium bicarbonate into an acid, but alcohol does not react. So that can also be used as a test to distinguish between acid and alcohol. Is that point clear to all? Right. No, bromine water test is used for distinguishing the unsaturated compounds from saturated compounds. Clear? Right. Next question. In peas, a pure tall pea plant is crossed with a short pea plant. The ratio of pure tall pea plants to short plants in the F2 generation is very important. You know, in the chapter heredity and evolution is not there. So basically in that chapter, the most important area that you need to focus is the Mendelian experiments and its outcome, and the theory of heredity and also sex determination. These are the two main topics that you have in that chapter, and definitely you will have a question based on Mendelian crosses. So let's quickly have a recap of the crosses based on this question. Here they said a pure tall plant. You know, what do you call pure individuals as? Pure individuals are called homozygous individuals, right? Homozygous, having the same kind of alleles or having the same kind of factors in an individual. Such individual is called as a pure strain. So in the first generation parents, we are taking a pure tall pea plant and crossing it with a dwarf or a short pea plant. So this is the cross. So the gametes of the first generation parents will be, this will produce only one type of gamete, that is capital T, and this will produce one type of gamete only, which is small t, and the F1 generation will be capital T, small t. This is the F1 generation. Now how do you get the F2 generation? F2 generation is obtained by self-pollination or selfing of this F1 individual. So the parents of the second generation is going to be a selfing between F1. That will give you capital T, small t into capital T, small t. Now this will produce again gametes, and here you will get two different gametes because it is a heterozygous individual. If a heterozygous individual is there which is having two different types of factors, each factor will go to one gamete. So this female also will be producing two gametes. Now to make the F2 generation, either you can do the cross method or you can use the Punnett square. So if I use the Punnett square, let's look at the possible generations coming from this. So here each gamete can be written capital T, small t, and here also capital T, small t. This individual will be capital T, this individual will be capital T, small t, this will be capital T, small t, this will be small t, small t. And what is the phenotypic ratio that you are going to get here? Phenotypic ratio. Everybody remember what was phenotype? Phenotype is the external appearance of an individual. For example, tallness, dwarfness, round shape. These are all things which we see from outside. So that is called as phenotype. So phenotypic ratio here is we have tall individuals as well as short individuals in the ratio 3:1, because this is going to be tall, this is going to be tall, this is going to be tall, but this is going to be short. This is the phenotypic ratio. Now again, one more thing is there to remember, which is genotypic ratio. What is the meaning of genotype? Genotype is the genetic constitution, like internally, genetically, how the individual is. For example, an individual can be tall, either homozygous or heterozygous. Homozygous means capital T, heterozygous means capital T, small t. Now look at the ratio here. Capital T, how many are there? You can see in this Punnett square it's only 1. Then capital T, small t, how many are there? 2. Small t, how many are there? 1. Now tell me, in this question they asked, what is the ratio of pure tall plants to short plants? This is pure tall, this is short. What is the ratio? It is 1:1. So you should be very vigilant when you read the question. I'm not sure, some of you have already said 3:1 ratio. That is wrong. 3:1 is the ratio of tall is to short. They didn't ask you how much is tall is to short. They asked pure tall to short plants. Am I clear? Am I clear to everyone? So the ratio is 1:1. So every time, see, in CBSE Board Exam, the paper is going to be a bit lengthy, but it will be easy. But one important thing that you need to keep in mind is you have to be very much alert while reading the question. Is that clear to everyone? Right. So it is 1:1 in this case. Next question. A conducting wire carries 10⁻21 electrons in 4 minutes. What is the current flowing through the wire? What is the current flowing through the wire? So here, what did they give here? They gave the number of electrons here. How much is that? 10⁻21 electrons. What else they told? The time for which it is flowing is 4 minutes. The question is, what is the current flowing through the wire? What is the current flowing through the wire? So here, you know that current and charge is related as Q is equal to I into T. What is Q? Q is the amount of charge flowing through the conductor. What is I? I is the total current. And what is T? T is the time for which the charge is flowing. Now, here I want to find out what is I. But only thing I know is the time given, but I don't know how much is the quantity of charge passing. Only thing I know is there are 10⁻21 electrons flowing. But that is not the quantity. How do you find the quantity? You can apply the concept of quantization of charge. According to quantization of charge, the total charge flowing can be n times the charge of one electron, where n is the number of electrons flowing. So all of you remember, what is the charge of one electron? One electronic charge is 1.6 into 10⁻⁻19 coulombs. Isn't it? 1.6 into 10⁻⁻19 coulombs is the total charge of one electron. So how many such electrons are there? Multiply that, then you will get how much is the total charge. So here I can use this formula to find the answer. Q is equal to IT, Q is equal to NE as well. So I can write that IT is equal to N into E, or I is equal to N into E divided by T. What is N? N is the number of electrons flowing, 10⁻21. What is the charge of one electron? 1.6 into 10⁻⁻19 divided by the time is 4 minutes. You need to take the time in SI unit, which is seconds. 4 minutes will be 60 seconds. So all of you quickly calculate and tell me what is the value of the current you are getting. So here you can see that 1.6 into 10⁻⁻19 can be written as 160 into 10⁻⁻21 into 10⁻21 divided by 4 into 60, right? So 10⁻⁻21, 21 is gone. Now we have 4 divided by 6, which is 2 divided by 3, or 0.67 ampere. So approximately it is equal to how much? 0.7 ampere. Is that clear to everyone? Yes. So here we used the quantization of the charge concept, and remember, number of electrons will be given. Sometimes they will be telling you like find the total charge carried by 1 mole of electron. In that case, you should remember 1 mole is equal to Avogadro number 6.022 into 10⁻23. Is this clear to all? Now, do not forget to write the units, the final units in your answer. since this is a multiple choice question, you have the unit, but sometimes if it comes for a descriptive question, always try to write the units along with your final answer. Is that clear? Right. For a current in a long straight solenoid, north and south poles are created at the two ends. Among the following statement, the incorrect statement is, see, you know that a current carrying solenoid is behaving like a bar magnet, right? The magnetic field lines of a solenoid will be similar to that of a bar magnet. Now you read the options here. First, the field lines inside the solenoid are in the form of straight lines, which indicate that the magnetic field is same at all points in the solenoid. That is true, isn't it? Because inside, in case of a bar magnet also, we have the fields emerging from the north pole and ending at the south pole, and inside the magnet they are moving from south to north. So that statement is true. The second statement, the strong magnetic field produced inside the solenoid can be used to magnetize a piece of magnetic material when soft iron is placed inside the coil. That is true. This is the principle of electromagnet, isn't it? This is the principle of electromagnet. Now, third one, the pattern of magnetic field associated with the solenoid is different from the pattern of the magnetic field around a bar magnet. No. A solenoid which carries current behaves exactly like a bar magnet. The field lines and all are of the same pattern as that of the bar magnet. Now let's read the option 4 as well. The north and south poles exchange positions when the direction of current through the solenoid is reversed. Of course, the direction of the magnetic field will be reversed when you reverse the direction of the current. So all options are A, B and D are correct, but C is wrong. Is this clear? Right. An electric toaster has a power rating of 200 watts. It operates for 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening. How much does it cost to operate the toaster for 10 days at 5 per kilowatt hour? So definitely you will have a question related to this in your board exam, where you have to calculate the total energy consumed and all, or you know, sometimes they will ask you how much is the total value of the electric energy consumed. So here they said, how much does it cost to operate the toaster for 10 days at 5 rupees per kilowatt hour? So we can use the equation energy consumed is equal to power into time. The total power into the total time, that is the total amount of energy consumed. So here you see the total power is 200 watts and it is operating for 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening. That means total 2 hours it is operating. For how many days? It is operating for 10 days. Correct? It is operating for 10 days. So how much will be the total energy consumed? The total energy consumed will be equal to 4000 watt hour. Remember, this you are getting in watt hour, but what is the commercial unit of electricity? It is kilowatt hour. So how do you convert it into kilowatt hour? Just divide it by 1000, right? So we will get 4 kilowatt hour, because 1 kilowatt is equal to 1000 watts. 1 kilowatt is equal to 1000 watts. So the total energy consumed is 4 kilowatt hour. Now they asked, if 1 kilowatt hour has 5 rupees, what is the total cost? So the total cost is going to be equal to 5 into 4 units of electricity. That will be 20 rupees. This will be the total amount of price or the cost to operate this toaster. So if you have multiple devices, operating, just find their energies and then add all of them and find how many kilowatt hour is there and then calculate. And always remember, this kilowatt hour, 1 kilowatt hour is equal to how many joules? It is 3.6 million joules. It is equal to 3.6 million joules. All of you understood that? Okay. Next one. A metal rod PQ is placed in the magnetic field. The ends of the rod are connected with a battery using wires. Where will the rod move? Very important question. See, you know this is based on Ampere's experiment, isn't it? When a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, that conductor is going to experience a force due to the interaction of the magnetic fields of both of them, isn't it? Because of that, there will be a thrust, there will be a force acting on the conductor, whose direction can be found out by using which rule? Which rule are we going to use to find out the direction of motion on a current carrying conductor kept in a magnetic field? Yes, Fleming's left hand rule is what we use. Fleming's left hand rule is what we use. What does it say? It says if you hold the three fingers, the thumb, the forefinger and the middle finger in mutually perpendicular direction, such that the forefinger indicates the direction of magnetic field, the middle finger indicates the direction of current, then the direction in which your thumb is pointing will be the direction of the force acting on the conductor. So look at this case. In this case, you can see that there is a battery connected. So definitely the direction of the current will be in this way, correct? So we can hold the middle finger in that direction. Now, where should the forefinger point? It should point towards the magnetic field. So here the lines of force is shown in this direction. So this is the direction of the magnetic field. So I should hold my forefinger upwards. Now, where is my thumb pointing? My thumb is pointing towards you. Yes or no? My thumb is pointing towards you. So if I take this as the plane, the thumb is coming out of the plane. So that will be the direction of the force experienced on the conductor. Is that clear to everyone? So it is coming out of the page. It is coming out of the page. See here, three directions they have told. Is it coming out, or is it going in, or is it going up, or is it going down? These are the four directions given. So here it is out of the page. It's towards you. Is that clear? Right. The next question. In electrolysis of water, the volume of hydrogen liberated is twice the volume of oxygen formed. Perhaps in the history of board exams, this might be the most repeated question related to electrolysis of water. Very, very important question. And read the statement here. In electrolysis of water, the volume of hydrogen liberated is twice the volume of oxygen formed. Is that statement true or false? You know that in water, the formula of water is H2O. So here the ratio of hydrogen and oxygen is 2:1, which means every time you electrolyze water, when you decompose water, you are going to get double the volume of hydrogen than the volume of oxygen released. So it says in electrolysis of water, the volume of hydrogen liberated is twice the volume of oxygen formed. That is a true statement. Now, the reason given, water has hydrogen and oxygen in the ratio 1:2 by volume. Is that true? Hydrogen and oxygen in the ratio 1:2. That is wrong. It is 2:1. Hydrogen is to oxygen is 2:1. And one more question related to this is, where is each gas formed? Where is each gas formed? You know that one gas will be formed in the cathode and one gas will be released at the anode. Tell me, which gas is at the cathode? Which gas is at the cathode? Yes, very good. Hydrogen is formed at the cathode. And you can easily remember, no need to have any confusion. Cathode has H. So H, hydrogen, is released at the cathode and oxygen is released at the anode. So two important things related to electrolysis of water. One is the ratio of gases, volume of gases released, and second is where is each gas released. And one more point sometimes they will ask is, how much or why are we adding drops of acid into water while we do electrolysis? This is also a very important question because pure water is a bad conductor of electricity. So when you add acid, it helps in ionization, and that will furnish ions in the solution, and it will help water to be a conducting solution. Otherwise, electrolysis will not happen. Right, very good. Next, law of independent assortment can be proved only through monohybrid cross. See, most of the times when Mendelian laws are asked, the most repeated question is related to independent assortment only. Instead of monohybrid cross, they ask about independent assortment and the dihybrid cross and its results. So it is very, very, very important to know the concept very clearly. I'm sure all of you know the statements of the three laws of Mendel. One is law of dominance, one is law of segregation, one is law of independent assortment. So law of dominance and law of segregation, these two laws were formulated based on the monohybrid cross. But the last one, law of independent assortment, is based on dihybrid cross. So what does law of independent assortment state, or what does it mean? Many of the students have a confusion related to what is the meaning of this independent assortment. So after this explanation, you should not have any doubts related to independent assortment. Consider if you have an individual with a genotype capital R small r and capital Y small y. This is an individual who is heterozygous for both the characters seed shape and seed color. Correct? Capital R is the factor for round, small r is the factor for wrinkled, capital Y is the factor for yellow color, small y is the factor for the green color. So in this individual, if this individual forms a gamete, what happens during gamete formation? Everybody know that according to law of segregation, the paired factors has to separate into individual gametes during gamete formation. Correct? So from capital R small r, one has to go to one gamete and the other has to go to another gamete. So let us assume that this is one gamete and this is the second gamete. So let's say capital R came here and small r came here. Now at the same time, from capital Y and small y, one has to go to the first gamete and the other has to go to the second gamete. Who will go? Who will go among capital Y and small y to the gamete having capital R? That is the question. Anyone can go. Anyone can go. So tell me, if capital R is accompanied by capital Y in this gamete, definitely the other gamete will be what? Small r, small y. At the same time, I told you there is one more probability. What is that? Capital R can be accompanied by small y as well. Right? Small y as well. So here, then the other probability will be small r, capital Y. So you see how many gametes did we get here? We got 4 gametes. Now why did we get this 4 gamete? Because when two pairs of factors are present together, the inheritance of one pair of factor is independent of the other pair. Capital R is not insisting that I have to have capital Y only with me. It can be either capital Y or small y. This is called independent assortment. We are selecting, or they are being picked. So in that picking, there is no rule that capital R should be accompanied by capital Y only. It can be capital R capital Y or capital R small y. Similarly, on the other side, it will be small r capital Y, small r small y. I hope you understood what is the meaning of independent assortment. Right? Okay, great. And the conclusion of independent assortment came from dihybrid cross. But look at the statement given here. It says law of independent assortment can be proved only through monohybrid cross. That is wrong, right? That is wrong. Now, the reason given is in a dihybrid cross, besides the parent combination of traits, 2 new combinations are formed. Is that true? Do you remember the results of dihybrid cross? Yes, in the dihybrid cross, we got 4 phenotypes. What were they? Round yellow, round green, wrinkled yellow, and wrinkled green. Wrinkled green. What was the ratio of each of them? This was 9:3:3:1. Yes, 9:3:3:1. If you guys remember, the dihybrid cross was started by taking 2 parents. Which were they? Round yellow and wrinkled green. correct? So we call them as parental combinations. So we can say that in this F2 phenotypes, round yellow and wrinkled green, these are parental combinations. They are similar to their parents. But look at this combination, round green and wrinkled yellow. Are they similar to parents? No. We did not have a parent who had wrinkled shape and green color. And also we did not have a parental pea plant which had wrinkled shape and yellow color. They are new combinations. They are coming as a result of independent assortment. So these are called recombinants. So as per the reason statement given, it says in a dihybrid cross, besides the parent combination, there are two new combinations formed. Isn't that true? Isn't that true? Yes, it is true. So we can say the assertion is false, but the reason is true. All of you understood clearly what is law of independent assortment and its application? Is it clear to everyone? Yes. Now the next question. A compass needle is placed near a current carrying wire. The deflection of the compass needle decreases when the magnitude of an electric current in the wire is increased. What is the relationship between magnetic field intensity and current? You guys know that magnetic field intensity is directly proportional to current. Yes or no? The intensity of magnetic field is directly proportional to the current. That means more the current, more will be the magnetic field. So here it says the deflection of the compass needle decreases when the magnitude of the electric current is increased. That is false, because if the current is increased, then the deflection should also increase. Now the reason given, strength of a magnetic field at a point near the conductor increases on increasing the current. That is true. The strength of the magnetic field increases on increasing the current. So we can say again, assertion is false, but the reason is true. Is that clear to all? Right. Which of the following are combination reactions? All of you look into the slide. Which of the following are combination reaction? What is combination reaction? When two things combine to form one, correct? Look at the first one. KClO3 on heating gives KCl plus O2. KClO3 is potassium chlorate. When potassium chlorate is heated and it is becoming KCl and O2, this is an example for decomposition. Yes or no? One reactant breaks down into two or more products. That is decomposition. So this is not combination. Now MgO plus H2O gives MgOH twice. That is combination, because two things combine to form one. So this is combination. Aluminium plus oxygen giving aluminium oxide. This is also combination, because oxygen is combining with aluminium to form the oxide. Then Zn plus FeSO4 giving ZnSO4 plus Fe. Is that combination? It is a single displacement reaction or just displacement reaction, right? So which of them are combination reactions? We can say 2 and 3 are combination reactions. Is that clear to everyone? Right. Next, Vinay observed that the stain of curry on a white shirt becomes reddish brown when soap is scrubbed on it, but it turns yellow again when the shirt is washed with plenty of water. What might be the reason for his observation? The statements given. Soap is acidic in nature. Is that true? Soap is acidic in nature. Is that true? I'm getting mixed answers here. Remember, this is one of the most important question in board exam about soaps. What is the definition of soaps? Soaps are sodium or potassium salts of long chain carboxylic acids. By thinking that itself, you will get the answer for this. I mean, whether the first statement is true or false. Soaps are made from fatty acids. Basically, they are organic acids. They are not strong, right? They are weak acids. And you are adding alkali into it, right? You are saponifying an ester to make soaps. So soaps are basically sodium or potassium salts of carboxylic acid. So it's like a weak acid strong base combination. So what will be the nature of soap? Soaps are basic in nature. That is very, very, very important. You know, a normal soap molecule can be represented as RCH2N times COOH. Na, or you can also write it as RCH2N times COOK. This is a general form of representing a soap molecule. Sodium or potassium salts of long chain carboxylic acids. Maybe you may see that the number of carbon atoms in this chain, like why I have written it as RCH2N times, is because this number of carbon atoms can be more than 10. For example, sometimes it will be total 16 carbon atoms present in one soap molecule. Then you have sodium palmitate. Sometimes it will be 18 carbon atoms, sodium stearate. Like that, there are plenty of soap molecules. All of them have sodium. All of them are sodium or potassium salts of long chain carboxylic acids or fatty acids. So they are basic in nature. So the first statement about soap is wrong. Second statement is correct because soaps are basic in nature. Now, turmeric is a natural indicator which gives reddish tinge in bases. Yes, that's the reason why soaps, when you apply it on turmeric stain, the yellow color changes into a reddish tinge. So the correct answer is 2 and 3. Is that clear to everyone? And about soap, very important, a few important points that you need to remember is, soaps are sodium or potassium salts of long chain carboxylic acids, and they have two ends, right? They have two ends. If you take a soap molecule, basically the structure wise a soap molecule we can indicate like this. It will have a long chain, and then at the end of the chain you will have COONA or COOK. What is this long chain? This long chain is the chain of carbon atoms, right? This is water repellent. We call them as hydrophobic, non-ionic. Whereas this end, look at this end is ionic because they have a charge difference. They are called polar end. They are water loving, hydrophilic. So everybody must be thorough with these names. Ionic end, hydrophilic end, polar end, they all mean the same. Is it clear? Right. Next question. Na plus has. See, why I specifically picked this question is to make you understand the difference between metals and non-metals, and also writing the electronic configuration of them. See, a species becomes positive in charge when it loses electron, and a species becomes negative in charge when it gains electron, right? So if you take Na, sodium is an element with atomic number 11. And its electronic configuration is 2,8,1, which means in an atom of sodium we have total 11 protons, total 11 electrons, and the remaining is neutrons. In case of sodium, it is 12 neutrons because atomic mass of sodium is 23. Now, let's talk about the protons and electrons. In a neutral atom, the number of proton will be equal to number of electron. So, Na plus, what is the meaning of that? Na plus means sodium who lost one electron. Now, why would sodium do that? Because after it loses one electron, it will become like the nearest noble gas, that is neon. So, in order to attain the noble gas configuration, sodium is losing one electron. So, when one electron is gone, how many electron will be remaining? Total 10 electron only. But the number of proton is not changing, right? So, we will have 11 protons and 10 electrons. Now, in the case of anions, in the case of non-metals, when they gain electron, they will become negative in charge. And tell me, what is the name of the compound formed between the attraction of the two oppositely charged ions? What do you call such compounds? Yes, electrovalent compounds or ionic compounds. These are the compounds which are formed by the attractive forces acting between the oppositely charged ions, like electropositive metal and electronegative non-metallic ions. So this question is clear to everyone? Right. The composition of aqua regia is, everybody know what is aqua regia? It's a mixture of two acids. It's also known as the royal water because it can dissolve even the most noble metals like gold, platinum, etc. Right? So that is what is aqua regia. Tell me the composition of aqua regia. Yes. What is the right choice? It is a mixture of concentrated HCl and concentrated HNO3 in the ratio 3:1. What does that mean? 3 parts of concentrated hydrochloric acid mixed with 1 part of concentrated nitric acid. This is called Aqua regia. It's a mixture of 2 acids. Is that clear? Right. Remember the ratio, okay? It's 3:1, where 3 parts HCl and 1 part HNO3, not the other way. Next. Which of the following are correct structural isomers of butane? Which of the following are correct structural isomers of butane? See, one of the most important expected area from where you are going to get a question is drawing isomers. For sure you will get one question about isomers. It may be to draw butane, it may be to draw the isomers of pentane, or maybe at the max they will ask hexane. Usually butane, pentane, these are the ones which usually comes for the board exam. So everybody need to know to draw the isomers of butane and pentane. So starting with butane, what is the formula of butane? Butane is C4H10. C4H10. C4H10 has 2 main isomers. One is the straight chain isomer CH3, CH2, CH2, CH3. What is this called as? This is known as normal butane. And then we have a branched isomer, which is 2-methyl propane. 2-methyl propane. That is IUPAC name. Of course, you know, it can be written as a common name as well as isobutane. These are the 2 isomers of C4H10. Very important. C4H10 has 2 isomers. And remember, isomers starts with minimum 4 carbon formula, C4H10. You can't have isomer for propane. You can't have isomer for ethane. You can't have isomer for methane, because it is not possible to form a branch without minimum 4 carbon atoms. Is that clear? Now coming to pentane as the branch. What is this called? This is called isopentane. Isopentane or 2-methyl butane. 2-methyl butane. And then we have 3 carbons parent and 2 branches, which is known as neopentane. Neopentane or 2,2-dimethyl propane. That is IUPAC name. 2,2-dimethyl propane. So maximum number of isomers or probable question of isomers will be either butane or pentane. Sometimes if they ask you hexane, you know how to do it. If they ask you to draw for hexane, in that case what you do is, first you draw the straight chain carbon 6. This will be normal hexane. Then you can reduce 1 carbon from the parent chain and add a branch. What will be this called? 2-methyl pentane. And then you can shift to the position of the branch 3-methyl pentane. Then you can reduce 1 more carbon from the parent chain and put 2 branches on the same carbon, 2,2-dimethyl butane. Or you can even put the 2 branches on different carbon, 2,3-dimethyl butane. Like this, you know, you can draw the isomers. But maximum, in my guess, they will ask either butane or pentane. Is that clear to everyone? Right, the structure is very, very important. Okay, there is a question here. What is the formula of benzene, or where is the double bonds in benzene? See, when it comes to unsaturated hydrocarbons or aromatic hydrocarbons, one of the most frequently repeated question is to draw the structure of benzene. And you know that benzene has 6 carbon atoms arranged in a cyclic manner, and then there is alternating double bond, and each carbon has 1 hydrogen. Now let me tell you where you put these double bonds. The only thing to remember is it should be alternate. You can even draw benzene in this pattern as well. You can put a double bond here, a double bond here, and a double bond here. So these are both correct for benzene. There is a reason for this, but in 10th standard you won't understand why it is like that. In 11th standard when you reach, you will study a phenomenon called resonance. where benzene has a property of delocalization of its pi electrons or the double bonded electrons, which will create two structures which are called as the contributing structures, resulting into a hybrid. This concept you will learn in 11th. So for your question, you can draw benzene either as the first way or the second way. The only criteria is put alternate double bonds. Is that clear? Right. So here the question was, which of the following are correct structural isomers of butane? This is correct because it is normal butane. Then look at the second one. Second one is correct because it is 2-methyl propane. Third one is wrong because here you can see it's forming a cyclic type. That is not possible. And fourth one is also wrong because it is again cyclic. Cyclic cannot be isomers for straight chain alkanes. Okay. So 1 and 2 are the correct ones of butane. Is that clear to everyone? Right. Next question. Very important question. Which of the following represents saponification reaction? Saponification reaction. What is saponification? The process of breakdown of an ester in the presence of an alkali to form sodium or potassium salt of carboxylic acid and the alcohol, which is a reaction used for the preparation of soap, and that is called saponification reaction. So which reaction among these four is indicating saponification reaction? See, the first reaction, CH3CONA plus NaOH in presence of calcium oxide gives methane plus sodium carbonate. That you don't have, it is called decarboxylation reaction. The second reaction, CH3COH plus C2H5OH in presence of H2SO4 giving CH3CO C2H5 plus H2O. This reaction is called esterification, that is the preparation of an ester. Then CH3COH plus Na gives CH3CONA plus H2. This is a typical acid-base reaction to form salt and water. Sorry, salt and hydrogen. And the last reaction is what is called as saponification. What we are doing here? Here we are taking an ester. Which ester is this? CH3CO C2H5. Which ester is that? It is ethyl ethanoate or ethyl acetate. Ethyl ethanoate or ethyl acetate. This is an ester and you are adding NaOH. You can add even KOH also. The only difference is instead of getting sodium salt, you are going to get potassium salt. That's it. Is that clear to everyone? Is it clear? Right. Next question. A zygote which has an X chromosome inherited from the father will develop into a very important question. In case of human beings, sex determination related question is one of the most expected question. So in case of humans, we know that the total number of chromosomes is 46, right? This 46 is divided into two sets. 44 of them are called as autosomes and the 2 of them are called as allosomes or sex chromosomes. Now, in case of a male, the combination will be always 44 autosome plus XY, whereas in case of a female, it will be always 44A plus XX. That means females will have similar copies of sex chromosome, males are hemizygous for that. That means they don't have complementary copies. Their X and Y are different. So when a male produces sperm, the sperms will be of two types. One is sperms carrying X chromosome and second is sperms carrying Y chromosome. Whereas a female produces only one type of ovum and that is 22A plus X. X carrying ovum only. That means the mother has no role in deciding the sex of the baby. So here, a zygote which has an X chromosome from the father. So here you see this X chromosome containing sperm, if it is fusing with the ovum, what will it produce? 44A plus XX, correct? 44A plus XX. What will that become? This will develop into a female fetus. Is that clear? It will develop into a female fetus. So we can say it will become the fetus will become a girl. Is that clear? Everybody know clearly what is the rule of sex determination in case of human beings? It's a very, very important question. So father is deciding the sex of the fetus. Okay, next question. 10 identical wires, each having a resistance of 1 ohm, are connected in parallel. The combination will have a resistance of. A very simple question, but a very important one. 10 identical wires having a resistance are connected in parallel. You guys know that in parallel combination, the net parallel resistance is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus up to how many resistances you are connecting? That much, 1 by Rn, isn't it? So here how many are connected? There are total 10 resistors of 1 ohm connected. So here we can say that the total resistance will be equal to what? Rp will be equal to R by N. Whatever is the value of the resistance, that divided by the number of resistors. So 1 ohm is the resistance divided by 10 resistors. So it will be 0.1 ohm. Is that clear to everyone? Yes, 1 by 10. Good. So a quick reminder, series combination is the combination where you get the maximum resistance, and parallel combination is the combination where you get minimum resistance. Right. The next question. Quick, everyone. A student learns that the magnetic field strength around a bar magnet is different at every point. Which diagram shows the correct magnetic field lines around a bar magnet? Yes, it emerges from north pole, ends at the south pole, and they form closed loops, isn't it? So the diagram that clearly shows the magnetic field line is B. Right. Yeah, majority are answering. Yeah, all of them have answered right. Yeah, very good. Let's go to the next question. What is the direction of magnetic field at a point A above the wire carrying a current I as shown in figure? Tell me, what rule are we going to apply to find the direction of the magnetic field by a current carrying wire? By a current carrying wire. What is the name of the rule? Yes, right hand thumb rule, isn't it? Right hand thumb rule, or Maxwell's corkscrew rule. So here, if you apply right hand thumb rule, and they asked at the point A, okay, this point is above the wire. So you hold the wire like this. The direction of the current is from left to right. That is the direction of the current. So you hold the thumb like this. The fingers that wraps around will tell you what is the direction of the magnetic field. So here, look at how the magnetic field is rising. At the point A, it seems like the fingers are wrapping and coming out of the board. Correct? Yes or no? If it was below, it will be going inside. So at the point A, this point, the magnetic field lines are emerging out. It looks as if they are emerging out of the page. Yes or no? Yes, it is A. Is that clear to everyone? So do not forget right hand thumb rule and Fleming's left hand rule. What is its application? One question is sure. Right. The next one. Fresh milk in which baking soda is added takes a longer time to set to curd. Yes or no? Fresh milk in which baking soda is added takes a longer time to set as curd. Yes, if you look into the biochemistry of curd formation, what exactly is happening? You know, in milk there is a sugar called lactose, right? So when there is lactobacillus bacteria present in milk, it causes the fermentation and lactic acid will generate, and this lactic acid will cause the denaturation of the milk proteins, and the milk proteins will get coagulated, and that will develop into a sour tasting clumped mixture which is called curd, right? So The main reason why curdling happens is because of lactic acid production. So fresh milk in which baking soda is added. You know that baking soda is, what is the formula of baking soda? Baking soda is NaHCO3, correct? NaHCO3. It is a mild base. It is a mild base. So what will happen is, if you have baking soda in the beginning itself, then when lactic acid forms, it will be slowly neutralized by this base. So that will delay the curdling process. And that statement is true. The reason given: baking soda decreases the pH value of fresh milk to below 6. Is that true? Is that true? The baking soda decreases the pH value of fresh milk to below 6. No, baking soda is a base, isn't it? What does a base do? Base always try to elevate the pH value. That means it will go more than 7. So this is false. So assertion is true, but the reason is false. Is that clear to everyone? Right. Which of the following statements about the reaction given below are correct? MnO2 plus HCl gives MnCl2 plus H2O plus Cl2. In the beginning of this session, I have given you a clear idea about redox reactions and what is how do you identify who is reduced, who is oxidized, who is reducing agent, and who is oxidizing agent. Come on, quick. Who is oxidized, who is oxidizing agent? Everything you can figure out from this and tell me the answer. MnO2 plus HCl giving MnCl2 plus H2O plus Cl2. This is the reaction. So here you can see that MnO2 is becoming MnCl2. So this is removal of oxygen. So that is reduction. And HCl is getting converted into chlorine. So this is removal of hydrogen. So that is oxidation. And I also told you that the substance that undergoes reduction is oxidizing agent, and the substance that undergoes oxidation is reducing agent. Now tell me, HCl is oxidized to chlorine. Is it true? That statement is true. MnO2 is reduced to MnCl2. That is correct. MnCl2 act as an oxidizing agent. MnCl2 act as an oxidizing agent. That is wrong. HCl act as an oxidizing agent. That is also wrong. So which is the right answer? Yeah, you have 1 and 2 only which are correct. Look at this. The third one says MnCl2 act as an oxidizing agent. Where is MnCl2? It is on the product side. So always oxidizing agent or reducing agent should be, or the substance oxidized or reduced should be addressed with respect to the reactant. Like who undergone oxidation, who undergone reduction, who is responsible for the other's reduction, who is responsible for the oxidation. So only 1 and 2 are correct. Is that clear to all? Okay, good. Which of the following salts do not have water of crystallization? Very important concept in acids, bases, salts chapter. What is water of crystallization? The fixed number of water molecules which are present in one formula unit of a salt. In every formula, one single formula unit of a salt, how many water molecules are there in the crystal? That's called water of crystallization. Let's look at the compounds given here. First one, bleaching powder. What is the formula of bleaching powder? Calcium hypochlorite or calcium oxychloride. That is called bleaching powder. It does not have water of crystallization. Plaster of Paris, calcium sulfate hemihydrate, CaSO4.12H2O. This is plaster of Paris. Washing soda, Na2CO3.10H2O, sodium carbonate decahydrate. That is also having water of crystallization. And then we have baking soda, which is NaHCO3. It does not have water of crystallization. So which of the following do not have water of crystallization is the question. So bleaching powder and NaHCO3. So what is the right answer? Yeah, 1 and 4. Is that clear to everyone? Is it clear to everyone? Right. The next question. A very important question. The table shown below gives information about 4 substances A, B, C, D. Identify the ionic compounds from the above given substances. Okay, before we try to answer this question, let me just ask you, what are the properties of ionic compounds? First thing, they are formed by transfer of electrons, right? They are formed by transfer of electrons from metal to non-metal. Second, they are all crystalline solids. They have a uniform close packing of the particles present, right? They are crystalline solids. They have very high melting points and boiling points. Due to strong interionic forces of attraction, they have very high melting and boiling points. Fourth one, they are soluble in water, but they are insoluble in organic solvents. Fifth one, they are good conductors of electricity. They are good conductors of electricity. But remember, in the molten state or in the aqueous state. But in the solid state, they do not conduct. This is a very, very important point. In the solid state, ionic compounds do not conduct because there are no free ions. But in the molten state or in the aqueous state, they can conduct. So based on all these points that we just discussed, can you answer which one of them are ionic compounds? See, compound A will not be an ionic compound because look at its melting point compared to others. It is only 295 Kelvin. So that we can remove. Then compound B, it's a fairly good melting point, possible. Solid state, poor conductor. Liquid state, good conductor. So this is possible. Then C, its melting point is very high. Solid state, poor conductor. Liquid state, good conductor. So this is possible. Now D also has a high melting point. But in solid as well as liquid state, it's bad conductor. It can't be an ionic compound. So B and C are the only two ionic compounds in this. Is that clear to everyone? So in my opinion, this is the kind of questions that you need to expect in the boards when it comes to application level, or when you where you have to apply the theory that you learned. You see, here we are applying the points that we learned. You can't expect a question directly like write the features or characteristics of ionic compounds. Maybe it will be there, but definitely these kind of application level questions will also come. So pay attention, focus on the question, read the question again and again, and then recollect the theory that you learned and then answer the question. And most importantly, time management is very important. The paper is going to be lengthy, so you need to adjust your time while writing. Although metals form basic oxides, which of the following metals forms an amphoteric oxide? Very, very important point. Another important section. Amphoteric oxides. You know that metals are generally forming basic oxides. But there are few metals which forms amphoteric oxides, like aluminium, zinc. These are the two examples that you learned in your textbook. Aluminium and zinc, they form oxides which are amphoteric. What is the meaning of amphoteric? Amphoteric means they can behave as an acid as well as a base. For example, if you take aluminium oxide is Al2O3. Al2O3 when added with HCl, you will get AlCl3 plus H2O. So what does this reaction indicate? This indicates that aluminium oxide reacts with an acid to form salt and water, which means aluminium oxide is behaving as a base here. And then if you take aluminium oxide and add it into a base like NaOH, we get NaAlO2 plus H2O. Again, in this reaction, NaOH is a base and aluminium oxide is behaving like an acid to form salt and water, sodium aluminate and water. So this is two reactions that you need to remember in case if they ask a question that show the amphoteric behavior of aluminium oxide with the help of chemical equations. Now similarly, if they ask you about zinc, ZnO when it reacts with HCl, you get ZnCl2 plus H2O, zinc chloride plus water. Similarly, ZnO when reacting with NaOH, you get Na2ZnO2 plus H2O. Again, these two reactions indicates the amphoteric nature of aluminium oxide and zinc oxide. Very important, please do remember these reactions and the name of the products. Sodium zincate, sodium aluminate. Is that clear? So the answer here is C. aluminium. Next question. Identify the unsaturated compounds from the following. Unsaturated means what? Having at least one carbon-carbon double bond or carbon-carbon triple bond. Correct? That is called as unsaturated. So here, first, propane. What is propane? Propane is CH3, CH2, CH3. This is all single bonds because you know that ANE. ANE is alkane. Then propene. Propene is going to be unsaturated, no doubt, because propene is CH2 double bond, CH single bond, CH3. This is called as propene. It is unsaturated. Then propyne. Propyne is CH triple bond C, CH3. This is propyne. Propyne is also unsaturated. Then chloropropane. Chloropropane is CH3, CH2, CH2Cl. This is not unsaturated. So the compounds 2 and 3 are unsaturated. The compounds 2 and 3 are unsaturated. Right. Very good. Very good. Majority of you have given the right answer. Excellent. Chlorine reacts with saturated hydrocarbons at room temperature in the one of the most important reaction in carbon and its compounds chapter. You have studied the chemical properties of carbon and its compounds. In that you have studied different reactions, combustion reactions, oxidation reaction, addition reaction, and the last one was substitution reaction. What was substitution reaction? When you take an alkane like methane and add chlorine in presence of sunlight, what will happen? A free radical halogenation reaction will happen. In step by step, each hydrogen in methane will be replaced. You will get CH3Cl plus HCl in the first step. Then if you allow this reaction to happen more, what will happen? The next hydrogen will be replaced. You get CH2Cl2 plus HCl. Then in the next step, CH2Cl2 will react with another chlorine in the same condition to form CHCl3 plus HCl. And then CHCl3 can react with another chlorine in sunlight to form CCl4 plus HCl. So what are we seeing here? Step by step, each hydrogen in methane is replaced, is substituted by a halogen. That's why this reaction is called halogenation or substitution, free radical substitution reaction. And for this to happen, light is mandatory. So it takes place in the presence of sunlight. And I believe all of you know the name of the compounds formed here. The first compound is CH3Cl, which is called chloromethane. Second one is dichloromethane. Third one is trichloromethane, which is also known as chloroform. And then we have CCl4, which is carbon tetrachloride. Yes. So the answer is B. Clear? Right. A doctor advised a person to take an injection of insulin because, come on, it's an easy question. Why would the doctor ask the patient to take an insulin injection? You know that insulin is a hormone secreted by our endocrine gland called pancreas. So the normal function of insulin is it helps in absorption of glucose by the cells from the blood. So whenever we have a meal, whenever we eat something, after the digestion happens, the glucose enters into blood. And you guys know that glucose is, the cells of the body is impermeable to glucose. So glucose will not enter into the cells unless insulin acts on the cells. There is a signaling mechanism happening there. You know that. That's what hormones do. They go and communicate, and then insulin will convey the message to the cells, and the cells will recruit a protein into the cell membrane, and then through that channel glucose enters inside. So the function of insulin is to lower the blood glucose. So people who have diabetes, their insulin secretion capacity will be lesser. So as a result, they will have to take insulin as injections. So the reason why the doctor would suggest insulin injection is when the blood sugar level is very high. This condition is called hyperglycemia. Hyperglycemia, where you have more sugar in your blood. Is that clear? Right. So the right answer is D. Next, the growth of pollen tube towards ovules is due to, come on, what causes the pollen tube growth? You know that when the pollen grains deposit on the stigma after pollination, how do they grow into the ovule? Or how do you think that different plants' pollen grains will be falling onto the stigma of one particular species? How do you think only that particular species pollen grains only grow into the ovary? Yes, it is because of chemotropism, because there is a signal produced by the ovary of the plant which will cause the pollen tube to germinate and go into the style, and they grow inside and reaches the ovary. So it is called positive chemotropism. That means the growth of a part which happens towards the stimulus, towards the chemical stimulus. So ovary produces the stimulus and that creates the pollen tube to grow. Is that clear to everyone? Yeah, chemotropism. Next one. Offsprings formed by asexual method of reproduction have greater similarity among themselves because, you know, asexual method of reproduction is one of the most primitive methods of reproduction in terms of evolution, right? Which are exhibited mostly by unicellular organisms. What are the features of asexual reproduction? You don't see gamete formation. You don't have biparental contribution. There is only one parent involved. There is no gamete form. So the complexity of the genetic mixing is very, very, very less. So there is no variations observed, or there isn't much variations as compared to sexual reproduction. So what are the correct points here? Asexual reproduction involves only one parent. That is true. Asexual reproduction does not involve gametes. That is true. Asexual reproduction occurs before sexual. Asexual occurs after sexual. So only 1 and 2 are the right points which supports the statement in the question. Is that clear? Right. The next question. Examine the figure given alongside and state which of the following option is correct. One small box in the figure is equal to 1 centimeter. I believe all of you can see the figure clearly. Please look into the figure. We have a concave mirror here. Okay. This is the pole of the mirror and one box is 1 centimeter. Yes. You try to answer it yourself. Here the object is kept at the center of curvature, correct? The object is kept at the center of curvature. So definitely where you will get the image will also be at the center of curvature, but it will be real and inverted. Yes or no? It will be real and inverted. And they asked, the answers, the options are based on the focal length and the magnification. So let's talk about it. Here, since 1 square is equal to 1 centimeter, look at this. This is 1, 2, 3. So the focal length of the mirror will be what? It will be 3 centimeter. Yes or no? And since it is a concave mirror, by side convention, -3 will be the focal length of the mirror. And also, since you are keeping the object here at C, the image is going to be at C only. It will be a real and inverted image. So here the height of the object is equal to height of the image, right? So if it is a real image and having the same size object, the magnification will be -1. So what will be the right choice here? Yes, very good. The mirror has a focal length of -3 centimeter and will produce an image of magnification -1. -1. Let me ask you, if I move this image, object and keep it here, where do you think the image will form? If I keep the object in between this F and P, where will the image form? Yes, very good. Behind the mirror, it will be an enlarged image. And that's the only case where concave mirror forms a virtual and erect image. Yes or no? Yes. Let's move on to the next one. The resistivity does not change if, read the statements. The resistivity does not change if, you guys know that resistivity can be expressed as, we have the relationship R is equal to rho L by A, correct? We have studied that resistance of a conductor is directly proportional to the length of the conductor and inversely proportional to the area of cross section, and the constant of proportionality is called as resistivity. And in fact, we can define resistivity like this. Resistivity is equal to Ra by L. Imagine this is unit area and this is unit length. That means 1 meter or 1 meter square, or 1 centimeter square and 1 centimeter. In that case, resistivity is same as resistance, correct? So we can define resistivity as it is the resistance of a conductor of unit length and unit area, right? And also you guys know that resistance is ohm, and A by L, centimeter square by centimeter, it will be centimeter. So ohm centimeter will be the unit of resistivity, and resistivity is fixed for a given material. Right? It is fixed for a given material. Now you read, they said the resistivity does not change if the material is changed, temperature is changed, shape of resistor is changed, both material and temperature are changed. See, temperature and the material, these two things will definitely have an impact on the resistivity. Different materials have different resistivity, and the same material will have different value of resistivity at different temperatures. The only thing that does not change resistivity will be the shape of the resistor is changed. Yes or no? Right, yeah, the SI unit will be ohm meter. Now, let's go to the next question. Solid calcium oxide reacts vigorously with water to form calcium hydroxide accompanied by liberation of heat. This process is called slaking of lime. Calcium hydroxide dissolves in water to form its solution called lime water. Which among the following is true about slaking of lime and the solution formed? Very important question. One of the most repeated combination reaction asked is calcium oxide dissolved in water. What do you get? You get calcium hydroxide. This process is called as slaking of lime, and it is a highly exothermic reaction. Now you know the resulting solution is calcium hydroxide. This is a base. So if it is a base, its pH is definitely greater than 7. Now you read the statements here. It says it is an endothermic reaction. That's wrong. It's not accompanied by absorption of energy. It is accompanied by release of energy. Then it is an exothermic reaction. That is true. The pH of the resulting solution will be more than 7. That is true. Less than 7, that is wrong. So 2 and 3 are correct statements. Yes, very good, very good. Majority of have answered it correctly. Excellent. Which one of the following structures correctly depicts the compound calcium chloride? Electron dot structure. One question you can expect. Maybe not calcium chloride. They will ask you maybe magnesium chloride or magnesium oxide, any compound. But you know the basic logic is same. Electron dot structures, drawing that, it's very easy. You know calcium. Calcium is an element with how many valence electrons? It has 2 valence electrons, right? It has 2 valence electrons. So let's draw 2 valence electrons of calcium. Now these 2 valence electrons of calcium has to be donated to chlorine. You know chlorine has total 7 valence electrons, correct? So one chlorine can accept only 1 electron. So there should be 2 chlorine altogether. So each chlorine accepts 1 electron from 1 calcium, and then calcium will become 2 positive and chlorine will have 8 electrons in its outer shell, and each of those chlorine will have 1 negative charge, 2 of them total. Is that clear to everyone? So which is the right representation? Yes, very good. Option C is the right way of representing the electron dot structure. Okay. Any doubts in this? Okay, next one. The heteroatoms present in CH3, CH2O, CH2, CH2, Cl see, heteroatom, the atoms other than carbon and hydrogen. So which all atoms are the heteroatoms here? You can see that there is an oxygen here and a chlorine here. These are the atoms other than carbon and hydrogen. So the heteroatoms in this is oxygen and chlorine, 1 and 4. Yes, right. Next question. Which of the following is most appropriate for aerobic respiration? For aerobic respiration. Yes, what happens in aerobic respiration? First, after the glucose enter into the cell cytoplasm, the glucose is broken down by a process called glycolysis. And in the glycolytic pathway, glucose will break down into pyruvate and energy. And then if oxygen is available, pyruvate will be taken into mitochondria, where it is broken down into carbon dioxide, water and energy. So which one is representing it correct? Yeah, very good. Option D. Right. Next question. Match the terms of column A with those of column B. So it's about the receptors in the body. First one, olfactory receptors. Olfaction. Olfaction is smell. So the receptors are nasal receptors, nose. Then thermoreceptors, sensation of heat. It is on the skin. Then we have gustatory receptors. Gustation means taste. So gustatory receptors are on the tongue. Yes. And then photoreceptors inside the eye, on the retina. So which is the right choice? A3. Yeah, there is only one option where A is 3, right? Option A. Right. The next one. Consider the indices of refraction. Glass is 1.52. Glass 1.52. Then air 1.003. Then water 1.333. Based on the refractive indices of the three materials, arrange the speed of light through them in the decreasing order. You guys know that refractive index is a parameter to measure how much optically denser is a medium, right? So refractive index is inversely proportional to the speed. More the refractive index, lower is the speed. So we need to arrange these media based on the speed of light in those media in decreasing order. So higher to lower. So tell me, who will have the highest speed, or in which media light will have the highest speed? First will be air. Air will have the highest. Then we have water. Then we have glass. This will be the order of the speed. So which option is correct? Yeah, option C says speed of light in air is greater than speed of light in water, which is greater than speed of light in glass. So everybody remember this equation. Refractive index is inversely proportional to V, or refractive index is equal to C divided by V. This is the expression for absolute refractive index. Velocity of light in air, vacuum divided by velocity of light in that media. Right. All of you understood? Next. Copper sulfate crystals are wet because it contains water of crystallization. See, what is the formula of copper sulfate crystal? CuSO4.5H2O. CuSO4.5H2O. It is called copper sulfate pentahydrate. Okay, many of them are saying that it is yes. Let me tell you one thing. Water of crystallization do not wet the crystals. What I mean is, you take CuSO4.5H2O, it's a blue powder. You take CuSO4, that means anhydrous copper sulfate, it is a white powder. Both of them are dry. Water of crystallization do not wet a crystal. Do you understand that? This is very, very important. Many of you have written wrong answer in that. Please remember this. Water of crystallization do not wet the crystal. It will be a dry powder only. But once you heat it, then the water will come out, and that's why you see the sides of the test tube having water condensing. So this statement is wrong. Copper sulfate crystals are wet because it contains water of crystallization is wrong. Water of crystallization is the fixed number of water molecules present in one formula unit of a salt. That is correct. That is the definition of water of crystallization. So assertion is wrong, but reason is true. Right. Next one. Which one of the following reaction is categorized as thermal decomposition reaction? Thermal decomposition. What is the meaning of that? When you subject a substance to heat and that substance break down into two or more products, that's called as thermal decomposition, right? So look at the first one. This is water. Water breaking down into H2 and O2. This is electrolytic decomposition, right? We have studied this under electrolytic decomposition. Then AgBr breaking down into Ag and Br2. AgCl breaking down. This is all photolytic decomposition. That means it is light induced decomposition. Whereas decomposition of limestone. Decomposition of limestone. What is limestone? Calcium carbonate is limestone. Calcium carbonate breaking down into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Calcium oxide is also known as quicklime. Calcium carbonate is limestone. Limestone decomposition is an example for thermal decomposition. So D is the right answer. Next, study the experimental setup shown in given figure and choose the correct option from the following. Look at this question. It's a very interesting question. You have dilute hydrochloric acid and you have added some substance P. There is a gas produced which is Q, and that is being passed into calcium hydroxide solution. So which tabular value is matching with the experimental setup? Come on, quick. Many are saying option D. Let's check. Option D says potassium carbonate and the gas is carbon dioxide. Possible, because potassium carbonate is a metal carbonate and you add it into dilute hydrochloric acid. What's going to happen? KCl plus H2O plus CO2. So you know this can be P, the gas is Q, carbon dioxide, and it is being passed into calcium hydroxide solution. What's that called? Calcium hydroxide solution is called lime water, right? So when you pass carbon dioxide into lime water, what will happen? It will form calcium carbonate and water, and calcium carbonate is not soluble in water, so it will render a milky white coloration to the solution, and this is what is called as lime water test, right? Lime water test. What is lime water test used for? To detect the presence of carbon dioxide. And I want to tell you one important point related to lime water test. What is going to happen if you pass excess carbon dioxide into lime water? If lime water has turned milky and you keep on passing excess carbon dioxide, it will turn into calcium bicarbonate. This is soluble in water, so that solution will once again become transparent or clear. Originally lime water solution was clear and it became milky white on passing carbon dioxide. Now if you pass excess carbon dioxide, it's going to become clear again due to the formation of calcium bicarbonate. Very important reactions. These two reactions are very important. Please do remember that. So option D is correct. Option B is wrong, because KHCO3, the same would have happened if KHCO3 is there, carbon dioxide is there, but they said no change in the lime water. That's why it is wrong. Is that clear to everyone? Yes, excellent. Next, which is the correct sequence of parts in a human alimentary canal? Come on, everybody should answer. Very easy. Starting with mouth, then esophagus, stomach, small intestine, and large intestine. Option? Right. Sorry, option D. Mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, and large intestine. Right. Let's go to the next question. The image shows the process of vegetative propagation in a plant. The shoot of the parent plant is pushed below the soil that results in the growth of a new plant. What is the advantage of this process? What is the advantage of this process? This results in plant of different flowers. No, this is the same plant whose shoot is bent into the soil and grown. So it will be genetically similar to the original. This helps the plants grow plants without adding extra manure. This eliminates the need of producing plant using seeds. This allows growth of plants with new genetic composition. Which is the right choice? One of the benefits of vegetative propagation is you can do this practice for those plants who have difficulty in forming seeds. So this eliminates the need of producing plant using seeds. Yes, all of you have given the right answer. Good. Let's go to the next question. An interesting question, an application based question. An ant was in front of a convex lens as shown below. Which of the following image is correct? Which of the following image is correct? All of you can see the ant in the options. Which image of the ant is correct? Where is the ant sitting? It is between the optic center and the focus. It is between the optic center and the focus. So what will happen? Convex lens will form a virtual, erect, enlarged image of the object on the same side of the lens. So the right choice would be C. This is a virtual, erect and enlarged image. Is that clear to everyone? Right. Next. If a person has 5 resistors, each of value 1/5, then the maximum resistance he can obtain by connecting them is. How do you get the maximum resistance? Maximum resistance is by connecting them in series, right? So total 5 resistors, 1/5 each. So the total will be what? 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. Correct? So that maximum he can obtain is 1 ohm. Clear? Right. Let's go to the next question. Assertion. Ethanoic acid is also known as glacial acetic acid. True or false? True or false? It is true. It is called glacial acetic acid. The reason given: melting point of pure ethanoic acid is 290 Kelvin and hence it often freezes during winters in cold climates. That is true, and that is indeed why ethanoic acid is called glacial acetic acid, because it freezes so fast in winter and form a glacier-like appearance, right? So A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Right, the next question. Some reactions require conditions like specific temperature, pressure, etc. While writing the chemical equations for such reactions, where are these conditions usually mentioned? You might have seen this many times, like whenever we write a particular condition for a reaction, where do we write this? For example, limestone converting into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. We write it usually above the arrow. We write it usually above the arrow. Calcium carbonate on heating, or if there is any pressure requirement, we write it usually above the arrow. Right. When a small amount of acid is added to water, the phenomena which occur are, see, whenever you add water to acid or base, that's called dilution, right? So the first statement is correct. It is dilution. Then neutralization, we can't say that because we are adding water. Then formation of H3O plus ion, that is indeed true, because when you take, let's say, HCl and you add water, what will happen? HCl will ionize into H plus and Cl minus, and the H plus will be accepted by H2O to become H3O plus plus Cl minus. Hydronium ions are formed. That is true. Salt formation, that is false. So A and C are the correct descriptions. Right. Next one. Metals are refined by using different methods. Which of the following metals are refined by electrolytic refining? Electrolytic refining. See, usually highly reactive metals, they don't need an extra refining step, because we are taking their molten ore and then subjecting them into electrolytic reduction, where the metal will go and deposit at the cathode. right? And such metals that you obtain after electrolytic reduction will be in pure state only, so you don't need a further refinement. So look at the other look at the options here. Gold, yes, we can refine by electrolytic refining. Copper, yes, but sodium and potassium, these are highly reactive metals, so they are directly obtained by electrolytic reduction methods, so no need to have any refining for them. So which of the metals are refined by? So that's the question. So correct option will be gold and copper. Is that clear? The name of the compound is, look at this compound, which functional group you can see there? CH3, CH2, CHO. CHO can be written like this. What functional group is that? It is aldehyde. And how many carbons are there? Total 3 carbons are there. 3 carbons, word root is prop. All the bonds are single bonds, so it is AN. And the suffix used for the functional group aldehyde is al. So the compound is known as propanol. Propanol. Everybody know the difference between aldehyde, ketone and carboxylic acid. Do not get confused there. Aldehyde is C double bond OH. Ketone is C double bond O. And carboxylic acid is COOH. C double bond OOH. This is carboxylic acid, this is ketone, this is aldehyde. What is the name of the first member of the ketone homologous series? What is the name of the first member of the ketone homologous series? Come on. First member of the ketone homologous series. Ketone I asked. It's propanon. Propanon. You cannot have a ketone with 1 carbon or 2 carbon. You know why? What is the reason? What is the reason? Because ketone functional group is C double bond O. Look at it. On the left of the carbon and right of the carbon there are 2 valencies. If I put a hydrogen to satisfy that valency, that moment it will become aldehyde. You guys get it? Even if I put a hydrogen here, it becomes aldehyde. Look at this. This is methanol. Methanol. If I make this one carbon and this one hydrogen, still it is aldehyde. CH3, CHO. This is ethanol. But if it has to be a ketone, then this functional group should be flanked by carbons. Then only you get the first ketone. And that's why the first ketone is propanon. Clear for all? Clear for all? Right. Let me just quickly write the structures of other compounds here. Here propanon. Propanon is CH3, C double bond O, CH3. Ethanol is CH3, CH2, OH. And ethanol is CH3, CHO. Right. Let's go to the next. In a synapse, chemical signal is transmitted from. Tell me what happens at this synapse. As the signal comes through the axon, at the end of the axon we have the synaptic bulb. This bulb contains neurotransmitters. These neurotransmitters are in the synaptic vesicles, so synaptic vesicles will be bursting and the neurotransmitters will enter into the synaptic junction, and then they go and bind to the dendrite of the next neuron and creates an electrical impulse there, right? So which option is correct here? Yeah, the chemical signal is transmitted from end of the axon of one neuron to dendrite end of another neuron. Is that clear to everyone? Is that clear to everyone? Yes. Very good. Next one. Shown below is a photograph of a convex lens. A small bright spot is seen on the paper when the lens is kept out facing the sun. Which diagram below explains the formation of the bright spot? You know, if you need to get the bright spot from a convex lens from the sun's rays are considered as an infinite object. Parallel rays from the sun coming and converging through the convex lens and getting focused at the focus, at the principal focus. So which diagram among these three is indicating it correctly? Yes, very good. The first diagram. So option A is the one which shows that the rays coming from the sun, the parallel rays are getting focused at the focus of the mirror. Sorry, at the focus of the lens. Right, excellent. The next one. In a homologous series of alcohols, the formula for the second member is C2H5OH and the third member is C3H7OH. Is that true or false? Alcohol family. In the family of alcohol, think which is the first member? Methanol. Which is the second member? Ethanol. Third member? Propanol. So second member is C2H5OH and third member is C3H7OH. That's right. The difference between the molecular mass of the two consecutive members of a homologous series is 144. Is that true? Is that true? CH3, CH2OH. This is ethanol. Then we have CH3, CH2, CH2OH. What is the difference between these two? Just one additional CH2 group. You know CH2 group has a weight of 12 for carbon and 2 hydrogen, 1 each. That will be 14 unit mass. It is not 144. It is 14 unit mass. So the reason statement is wrong. Assertion is correct. So it should be option C. Is that clear to everyone? What point I just told you is one of the characteristic feature of homologous series. Adjacent members of a homologous series differ by a CH2 group or 14 unit mass. And what are the other properties? All compounds belonging to the same homologous series have same chemical property. Why? Because chemical properties are determined by functional group. All alcohols exhibit same property, same chemical property. All alkanes show similar chemical properties. All aldehydes show similar chemical property. But physical properties of the homologous members will not be same. There will be a gradation in the physical properties. For example, you take ethanol and propanol. Propanol will have more boiling point than ethanol because physical property is not decided by the functional group. It is decided by the carbon chain, the length of the carbon chain. Is that clear? Right. We have few more questions. Which of these series can be classified as homologous series? Tell me, what should you look for members in the same family? What should you look for members in the same family? Similar functional group. Correct? Similar functional group. Look at the first one. First one CHCl3, C2H5OH. This cannot be same series. CH3OH, C2H5OH, C3H7OH. This can be one series because all of them are alcohols. All of them are alcohols. Yes. So directly we can write B is the answer for this question. All of you understood that? Okay, great. Next question. Quick. The figure given alongside shows a schematic plan of blood circulation in humans with labels 1 to 4. Identify the correct label with its functions. All of you can see the picture clearly? Look at this. What is this first one? What is the first one shown here? This is showing that from the lungs the blood is coming to the left atrium. So what should be this? This should be pulmonary vein, correct? And it will carry oxygenated blood from the lungs into the left atrium. Now what is the second one? Second one shows that it is leaving heart and going to tissue. So this should be aorta, which carry pure blood from the heart into the tissues. And then the third one, it's showing it is going into the lungs. That means it is going for oxygenation, correct? So it is deoxygenated blood carried by pulmonary artery. And then the fourth one is showing that from the tissues it's going to the heart. That means it should be vena cava, right? It should be vena cava. So tell me, read the options and tell me which one do you think is more fit for the question. Yes, option D would be more accurate because vena cava takes blood from the body parts to the right auricle. That is correct. See, look at the other statements. Aorta takes blood from heart to body parts. Third one they are saying. Third one is not aorta. It is pulmonary artery. Then second one they said pulmonary artery takes blood from lung to heart. No. From heart to lungs is where pulmonary artery takes, isn't it? And then pulmonary vein takes impure blood from body part. That's also wrong. So D is the right choice. Clear for all? Okay. Next one. Study the table below and select the row which has the incorrect information. It's a difference between reflex action and walking. In fact, you can remember this table as well, because it's an important question. What are the differences between reflex action and walking? Point number 1, reflex action is involuntary. True or false? It is an involuntary action, whereas walking is a voluntary action. Reflex action is conducted by spinal cord, walking is controlled by hindbrain. That is also correct. Where reflex action occurs in a fraction of seconds, walking takes longer time. Yes, true. Reflex action is intentional and non-mechanical. That's wrong. Reflex is not intentional. It is spontaneous. So the last point is what is not matching with the statements. Is that clear to everyone? Please do remember the first 3 points as an answer to the question, the distinguish between reflex action and walking. Is that clear to everyone? Yes, great. Next one. In a flower, the parts that produce male and female gametes are? Very easy question, quick. Male gametes are produced in the anther and female gametes are produced in the ovary, right? Great. A light ray enters from medium A to medium B as shown in figure. The refractive index of the medium B with respect to A. That means you need to find the NB by NA. Look here, what is happening here? This is the surface, this is the normal, correct? Now light ray is entering like this from medium A. Instead of going straight, what happened to it? It is bending towards the normal. It is bending towards the normal. You know in which situation it happens? When a light moves from a rarer medium to denser medium, the ray bends towards the normal. Yes or no? The ray bends towards the normal. So this is rarer medium, this is denser medium. So what will happen? If you take medium B's refractive index with respect to A, which will be larger, this will be more, this will be less. So this ratio is going to be more than 1. Is that clear to all? It will be greater than unity. All of you understood that? Who is denser? That will have more refractive index. Who is rarer? That will have less refractive index. And they asked the refractive index of B relative to A. That means NB by NA. So NA is rarer, which means its refractive index is less. NB is denser, which means it is more. So more by less. So it will be definitely greater than 1. Clear? Please see here, this ray is bending towards the normal. So that's why we concluded that it is rarer to denser. Clear, right? The next one. A person cannot see objects distinctly kept beyond 2 meters. The defect can be corrected by using a lens of power. Beyond 2 meters he cannot see. That means his vision range is from 25 centimeters to 2 meters. Which defect is this? Which defect is this? Which defect is this? His far point is 2 meters. Yes, this is myopia, and we can correct it by using which kind of lens? By using a concave lens. So the focal length, the power, what did they ask to find? The lens of power. So the power you can find as 1 by F, which is 1 by 2 minus 0.5. It should be a concave lens of power minus 0.5. Is this clear? Right. When a 4-volt battery is connected across an unknown resistance, there is a current of 100 milliampere in the circuit. The value of the resistance is, you know, Ohm's law says V is equal to I into R. We need to find what is R. R is equal to V divided by I. What is the voltage of the battery? It says 4 volt. What is the current through the circuit? It is 100 milliampere. Milliampere is 10 raised to minus 3 ampere, right? 1 milliampere is equal to 10 raised to minus 3 ampere. So we get 4 divided by 100 into 10 raised to 3. So that will be 0.1. This will be 40. So the value of the resistance is 40 ohm. Is that clear? Right. The next question. Following are the structural isomers of butane. Quick. This should be easy. Following are the structural isomers of butane. One is N-butane, second one is isobutane. That is correct. Structural isomers have the same molecular formula but they differ in their structures. That is true. And that's why those two are isomers of butane. So we can say that both A and A are true and R is the correct explanation. Yes, very good, very good. Right. The next one. Which of the following process involve chemical reactions? Storing of oxygen gas under pressure in a gas cylinder. It is not chemical change. Why? Because there is no new substance formed. Oxygen gas under pressure. We are just making it compressed. It's still oxygen only. Liquefaction of air. Still there is no chemical change happening. There is no new substance formed. Keeping petrol in a china dish. That's just evaporation, right? There is no chemical change. Heating copper wire in the presence of air. That is true. Because copper when heated in air it will change into copper oxide. And please do remember the change, color change. Brown will convert into black. Brown will convert into black. So the last one is the chemical change. Clear, right? The next one. If copper is kept open in air, it slowly loses its shining brown surface and gains a green coating. It is due to the formation of, very important question, copper turns green when exposed to air containing moisture, oxygen and carbon dioxide is due to the formation of basic copper carbonate. Basic copper carbonate. CuOH twice, CuCO3. This is basic copper carbonate. So it is due to the formation of copper carbonate we see that green colored coating. Is it clear? Right. Next question. Which of the following plays the important role of creating a suction force which pulls the water upward from the roots of tree to its leaf? Very, very important. In the transportation of water through the xylem, two things play a very important role. One is the suction pull due to transpiration and the root pressure. These are the guiding force of xylem water movement. So it is due to the transpirational pull we see that there is a suction pressure from the top. Is that clear? Right. Vegetative propagation refers to the formation of new plants from. New plants are created from the vegetative parts of the old plant. Which are the vegetative parts? Everything except flower, right? So it is from the stem, the roots and the leaves. These are the vegetative parts of the flower. Of the plant. In the diagram shown below, a beam of light is traveling from inside a glass slab to air. So that's kind of denser to rarer. Which of the marked path will be the ray of the light as it emerges from the glass slab? You see, this is the incident ray. It is coming from the glass slab. And this can be the normal, right? So here it is coming from glass to air, denser to rarer. So what should happen? It should bend away from the normal. It should bend away from the normal. So the only possibility here is R. R will be the path of the emerging ray. Okay, clear for all? Excellent. Next one. Longer wires have greater resistance and smaller wires have lesser resistance. True or false? Resistance is directly proportional to length. Longer the length, more is the resistance. Isn't it? So longer wires have greater resistance and smaller wires have lesser resistance is true. The reason given is resistance is inversely proportional to length of the wire. That is false. So A is true but R is false. Right. The next one. For observing traffic at back, the driver uses convex mirror. Is that true? Perhaps from the chapter light, one of the most frequently asked question in board exam is this. Why convex mirrors are used as rear view mirrors in vehicles? So related to that only you can answer. For observing traffic, we use convex mirror. That is true. The reason given, convex mirror has much larger field of view than a plane mirror. That is true, and that is why they use convex mirrors as rear view mirrors, because they get a wider field of view due to the diminished image formation there. Is that clear? Right. So both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Next, which of the following gives the correct increasing order of acidic strength? Water, acetic acid, hydrochloric acid. You know, water is kind of neutral substance. Acetic acid is organic acid, which is weaker. Hydrochloric acid is inorganic acid, which is very strong. So the order will be water, acetic acid, and hydrochloric acid. Right. The next one. Which of the following reaction is a neutralization reaction? What is neutralization? When an acid base reacts, where the effect of the acid is nullified by the base or vice versa. That's called as neutralization reaction. So tell me, which option is neutralization here? Quick. Which option is neutralization here? First one is not, second one is metal acid, third one metal oxide plus water. So which one is it? Yes, the last reaction. Nitric acid plus sodium hydroxide gives sodium nitrate plus water. This is neutralization. Strong acid, strong base gives neutral salt plus water. Good. Which of the following property is generally not shown by metals? Electrical conduction. It's a property of metal. Metals are good conductors of electricity. Sonorous in nature. Yes, metals make sound. Dullness. That's wrong, because metals are generally lustrous, right? They are not dull. They have that luster. So this is not a property shown by metal. Ductility, of course, there are many metals which can be drawn into thin wires, and that property is called as ductility, right? Okay, so C is the answer. Next question. Two lenses of power plus 2.5 and minus 3.75 are combined to form a compound lens. Its focal length in centimeter will be. You guys know that combination of lenses, what do? We can get the total power by adding the powers of the individual lenses, right? Powers are additive, but focal lengths are not. Sometimes, you know, in the question they will give you two different focal lengths and they will ask you what is the total focal length of the combination. In that case, you need to find their powers and then add and then get the total power. So here how much is the power? One is plus 2.5 and the other is minus 3.75. So how much will be the total power here? It will be minus 1.25 diopter, right? Now what is the focal length in centimeter they asked? So focal length, the total will be how much? 1 divided by power total, correct? That will be equal to 1 divided by minus 1.25. Yes or no? Yeah, how much is it? What is the value of this? You get minus 0.8, isn't it? That much meter will be the answer, right? But they asked in centimeter, so it will be minus 80 centimeter. So the right answer will be minus 80. Is that clear to all? Is that clear? Okay, excellent. So this is the combination problem, one important numerical. Okay, we have only 2-3 questions remaining. The image shows the ray diagram of a defective eye. Which option shows the correction of the defect of the eye? You can see that in this defect, what is happening? The image is formed behind the retina, right? Behind the retina. So the problem is the lens is not able to converge it on the retina. So here there is less convergence. So what should we do to correct this? You should add a lens who can converge it more. Yes or no? So which one will be the correct diagram? Yes, it's a case of hypermetropia and can be corrected by a convex lens of suitable focal length. So this will be the correct ray diagram. Is that clear? Right. Next one. The pH of the gastric juice released during digestion is. What is the pH of the gastric juice? Gastric juice contain hydrochloric acid. So it ranges usually from 1.7 to 1.8. So it's always acidic pH which is less than 7. Less than 7. Next, reaction between X and Y forms compound Z. X loses electron, Y gains electron. Which of the following property is not shown by Z? So Z is going to be an ionic compound, right? Because it is formed by two elements, one losing electron and one gaining electron. So what are the properties of ionic compounds? Has high melting point? That's true. Has low melting point? That's false. Conduct electricity in molten state? That's true. Occurs as solid? That is also true. So the only thing that does not match is it has low melting point. It's not a property of ionic compound. Is that clear to everyone? Clear? Right. Next, structural formula of ethyne is, what is ethyne? Ethyne is the first member of the alkyne family having 2 carbons. So this is the structure of ethyne. So which one represents ethyne correctly? Option A. Right. The magnification produced by a rear view mirror fitted in the vehicle is, what mirror are we using in rear view mirrors? It's convex mirror. Convex mirror always form diminished image. Diminished image means it will be smaller, right? So what will be the magnification? It will be always less than 1. Less than 1. Next, the image shows the dispersion of the white light in the prism. What will be the color of X, Y and Z? You know that when white light passes through a prism, it will undergo dispersion, and the color that will have most deviation will be violet, isn't it? So the bottommost color will be definitely violet, and we have only one option where X is violet, which is B, and the topmost color will be red. So option B. Clear for all? And you guys remember the recombination of white, the dispersed light. You keep an inverted prism here, it will again become white light. Now the last question. Highly reactive metals are obtained by electrolytic reduction. Is it true or false? Highly reactive metals are obtained by electrolytic reduction. It is true, right? Because for highly reactive metals, the typical extraction strategy will not work. What is the typical extraction strategy? We take the ore, we convert it into oxide, and then we reduce it by using a reducing agent or self-reduction. Why it does not work out for highly reactive metals? Because for highly reactive metals, their oxides are very stable, and we don't have reducing agents which can take out that oxygen away from the highly reactive metal. So what we do, we take the molten ore of the highly reactive metals and then we subject it to electrolysis, where the metal will go and deposit at the cathode. So first statement is correct. It is done by electrolytic reduction, and the reason given is, in the electrolytic reduction, metal is deposited at the cathode. That is indeed true, but you know, they are independent statements. They don't have a relationship, right? So both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. So by this we have come to the end of the question discussion. So you have little more time remaining until the exam. So utilize this time effectively. If you discuss with your friends and study, it will be really effective. Discuss, take model papers and try to solve them. Do as many questions as possible. If any theory or anything is missing, please clarify that. And stay confident. You must understand that the exam is going to be easy, and it will be your day on 4th. You will crack the exam easily and you will have a very good time during the examination. So stay confident, have no stress in mind, do not let the adrenaline rush come to you. I always say this to the students, adrenaline is good in some amount. It will increase your alertness, but too much can affect your performance. So don't let stress take over your mind. Just stay calm, stay relaxed, and most importantly, do not talk to your friends on the day of the exam. Especially when you are waiting near the exam hall, do not discuss anything. Just make your mind free. Clear? So stay confident. You will have a wonderful time in the examination. Paper will be really good. And everybody please go through the last minute revision material which we have shared from the institute. So I wish all the best to my dear children to have a wonderful exam on 4th. This is Danesh Venugopal signing off. See you all. Bye.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's all this? Your results. Congratulations to all. I'm confident you'll all achieve your goals. So, young man, what are your aspirations?
I want to do robotics, ideally from the Butane Institute in the US.
And you, young lady?
Sir, I love kids and I would love to learn pediatrics. I feel Boston is the best place for that.
Sumit, what about you?
Back home to India for medicine.
Good. I'm sure you'll all achieve your aspirations, be it in India or anywhere. Keep in mind, your first challenge is the entrance, whether it's IIT, JEE, SAT or NEET. You have to learn from the masters. Brilliant Qatar is the passport to your success.
We undertake coaching for regular and repeat batches and tuition for board examinations. Brilliant Education Centre, Doha, Qatar.